Matthew Cox, once a mortgage broker, embarks on a path of deception and fraud that leads him down a dark road. His journey into the world of crime begins innocently enough, with a simple alteration of a borrower's late rent payment on a mortgage application. Encouraged by his manager, Cox makes the change, and the loan is approved, earning him a commission. This initial success plants the seed for future fraudulent activities, as Cox becomes more emboldened to manipulate financial documents to meet underwriting guidelines. As Cox's fraudulent activities become more sophisticated, he starts creating synthetic identities. He understands that a credit profile is born when an individual applies for credit for the first time, and he exploits this by fabricating identities with pristine credit histories. By forging birth certificates and other documents, he acquires social security numbers for these fake personas. With these synthetic identities, Cox secures credit cards and personal loans, meticulously building their credit histories. Cox's criminal endeavors soon expand into the realm of real estate fraud. Using the synthetic identities, he purchases properties, renovates them, and sells them at inflated prices to these fictitious buyers. To justify the inflated prices, he manipulates the recorded sale prices of nearby properties, creating an illusion of higher market values. This deception enables him to obtain appraisals for the flipped properties that far exceed their actual worth, defrauding banks and investors in the process. Throughout his criminal career, Cox grapples with the ethical and legal implications of his actions. Initially, he justifies his behavior by convincing himself that he is assisting financially struggling individuals. However, he eventually comes to terms with the harm he has caused, as many of the people he placed in homes end up facing foreclosure. He acknowledges the unethical and illegal nature of his activities, especially in the creation of synthetic identities and the manipulation of property values. Cox offers a window into the criminal mindset, explaining how initial successes made him more audacious and how he exploited loopholes in the system to perpetrate his fraud. He also discusses the lack of oversight in the mortgage and real estate industries, which allowed him to operate undetected for an extended period. Cox's fraudulent activities eventually catch up with him, leading to his arrest and a 13-year sentence in federal prison. He admits that his actions were driven by a combination of financial desperation and a narcissistic desire to prove his intelligence. Despite the thrill of deceiving banks and the sense of invincibility he felt, Cox faces the reality of his situation when he is caught and forced to confront the impact of his actions on others. In reflecting on his past, Cox discusses the concept of loyalty and integrity, admitting that he had a misguided belief in the loyalty of others. He is disappointed by the willingness of his associates to cooperate with law enforcement, which leads him to a cynical view of human nature. Despite his regrets, Cox expresses a desire for personal growth and acknowledges the need for validation that drove his criminal behavior. Cox's fraudulent activities not only affect his victims, but also his personal relationships. He experiences the breakdown of his marriage and faces financial difficulties as a result of his actions. He candidly shares the impact of his crimes on society, including the financial and legal troubles inflicted on innocent people. Despite being on the Secret Service's most wanted list, Cox manages to evade law enforcement for a time by using multiple identities and staying one step ahead of the authorities. He builds new lives in different cities, renting apartments, buying houses, and even dating women under false pretenses. Cox's ability to manipulate situations to his advantage is evident as he continues his fraudulent activities while on the run. Cox's time in federal prison is marked by challenges and dangers. He encounters various inmates, including some who are notorious for their criminal backgrounds. Cox adapts to prison life by teaching real estate and GED classes, which earns him respect among his fellow inmates. He also engages in writing, helping another inmate with a book that eventually leads to a movie deal. Cox's cooperation with law enforcement, including providing information about other criminals, leads to a significant reduction in his prison term. He reflects on the emotional impact of his sentencing and the challenges of adjusting to prison life. Despite the fear and uncertainty, Cox finds ways to stay motivated and productive, filing legal motions and writing stories. Upon his release from prison, Cox struggles to reintegrate into society. He finds support in his relationship with his wife, whom he met in a halfway house. Together, they engage in activities like hunting, and Cox finds joy in the simple things in life. He reflects on the impact of his choices and the lessons he has learned, expressing a desire to live a more conventional and fulfilling life. Matthew Cox's story is a cautionary tale about the consequences of financial fraud and the impact it can have on individuals and the broader economy. His experiences provide insight into the criminal mindset and the methods used to commit fraud, as well as the ethical and legal implications of such activities. Cox's journey from a life of crime to a newfound appreciation for life's simple pleasures highlights the potential for redemption and personal growth. His honesty and introspection offer valuable lessons about the complexities of human behavior and the pursuit of a meaningful existence.